Wholeness, Runes of Silvertree. Runes of Silvertree here. Okay, so I made part 2 of the family series that I have going on for the month of November, and the whole video disappeared. So I'm going to start over and ask Source and my guides to help protect and shield, this message, because I am currently still in the open portal of a full moon, and so there's still a lot of energies going on. Usually it's the day before, the day of, and the day after that the full moon energy is pretty strong when the portal is open. So here we go. Okay, so the topic today, or last week, the previous week, we discussed that your family's trauma is not your responsibility, and this week it's going to be a little switched up. And your personal trauma is not your family's responsibility. Your personal trauma is not your family's responsibility. And you're probably wondering, like, hey, what? What are you talking about? They did A, B, and C to me. They sexually abused me. They physically abused me. They psychologically manipulated me. They sabotaged my dreams. Stop. Take a breath. Be conscious at this point. I know it's hard for me to say, and I know it's harder for you to hear. But I am a firm believer in autonomy. I'm a firm believer in sovereignty. I'm a firm believer in true empowerment. And true empowerment is when you can stand and say, and look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, you know what? I effed up. I made a bad decision. I made certain choices in my life that, no one forced me. I know that how I was brought up from the past, from my mommy and my daddy, has affected how I make certain decisions in my life and choices in my life. However, at that present moment, I chose. And a lot of the time I find that we are very quick as human beings, I call it false sense of empowerment, where we will externalization of power, where we'll go out and we'll be like, no, I blame the government, I blame the school system, I blame the healthcare system, I blame my community, I blame my mom, I blame my dad, I blame the banks, I blame the world, I blame life, I blame. We just externalize. And doing this it fuels something, it feeds something. It feeds this type of energy. You can't see it, but it makes you feel good because you don't have to process those difficult feelings, those difficult emotions. You don't have to process it. You just have to externalize it, get it out of you. But all the while, with this false sense of externalization of power, meaning this, you're giving it away to someone. It's still in you. It's still that poison, that toxin is still in you. And so my point is with this video is that, look, like, your personal traumas can't just, they're not easy, all right? Like, they are true challenges, and these are things that can't really be, it takes a while. It takes a while to accept the things that you've done and the choices that you've made. If you find your current situation isn't up to your standard, if you find that your current position in life isn't where you want to be, then you have to take accountability. Don't blame, shame, or guilt yourself. Don't do it. Taking accountability isn't blaming you. Taking responsibility isn't blaming yourself. Again, the definition of responsibility is the ability to respond to things that are happening within you and without you, right? And usually around you, right? When I say without, I mean outside of yourself. And so, like, it's taking a different approach and rewriting your story is very important. Now, I try to have, like, strong boundaries when it comes to what I speak about in my personal life, because it's just something I'm not very comfortable with. And I know that's the culture of social media platforms, and the more, open you are with your private life and with your how you live behind closed doors, the more traction there is with the numbers and all that. But I'm not about that life. I'm about just sharing these messages with you. They're not very popular. This isn't a popular topic to talk about accountability and responsibility. And but again, you can feel lonely when you do this, when you practice taking accountability for your own actions and your own ways of thinking. And it's almost like cussing somebody out, and you say, oh well, I've been going through A, B, C, D, E, and it's like that person had nothing to do with that, but you projected that energy onto them. You're taking out that anger, that you're externalizing your power. You're not taking that power, internalizing it, and processing difficult personal traumas within yourself. And that's something that needs to be said and shared. It's super easy to externalize. It's a lot more difficult for people to internalize, to truly review what they're about, and why would they make certain decisions over something else. And I will repeat this again. Yes, your family has an impact on how you choose, how you make decisions in your life, but they're not the ones making the decision. They're not the ones making the choice. You are. That's your power. And the effects, the consequences of that power, that's something you have to live with, and not look back and say, well, this person did this to me, and so this is why I went that way. It's like, that's a cop-out to me. It's very weak. It expresses weakness to me. I have compassion. I have deep, deep compassion for those of us that have come from deeply traumatic experiences. But you can, and I was listening to Goggins just the other night. His name's David Goggins. Yeah, Goggins. And we have very eerily similar, like he was mentioning some things that it was very profound. Like, he grew up in certain places that I've grown up in, and very different trauma stories. Like, don't get it twisted. He was very, 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 very dark upbringing. But I will say, like, I was just really it was a phenomenal listening to his message. I mean, he was very, very kind of a hardened man, but his mentality was so freaking strong and so powerful that he was able to literally create a new version of himself, a completely different stranger to his former self, to his former life, to his former perception of who he is. Because here's another thing: blaming other people who you're related to, or strangers, whatever, but usually your relatives, okay? Blaming the people that, for the wrong that they've done to you is slowly killing you. It makes you into something that you're not truly meant to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've heard the phrase of, oh, if it wasn't for my tough upbringing, I wouldn't be where I am today. That is very, very true. That holds some truth into it. But at the same time, for those of you that don't process certain things that have happened in your past, and you externalize your power in the wrong way, in a very fragmented, false way to make yourself feel better, it's like you're stagnated. You become stagnant. Like you're sabotaging yourself, because how can one expand and beyond those limitations because of this person and what they've done to me, and because of what I've experienced? I can't achieve this. I can't achieve that. I can't, like, you're continuing the family curse. You're continuing the family generational curses, the generational limitations. Stop it. Again, I'm a firm believer in the power of choice. I'm the firm believer in the power of, shifting your reality by how you perceive it. It is really, sometimes in some seasons of life, it's much easier to shift your perception on the things that have happened to you. And in some seasons of life, it's really freaking hard to redefine your life and the things that have happened to it, and to really let go of the people who have harmed you. People think that they truly let go of the past when they pick up, marry, move to a completely different country, move to a completely different state, dye their hair, cut their hair off, pop out 2, 3, 4 kids, start 5 different careers, become super successful. They think that they've solved something. All the while they're proving they're proving themselves to something. I don't know where I was going to go with that thought. I was going to go somewhere with it, but that's okay. I'm going to continue. Yeah, a lot of the time we're living out this false, limited version of ourselves because we have unresolved generational issues that we blame another person for. Imagine what your life would be if you set yourself free. If you set yourself free from the generational trauma, you set yourself free from the generational curses, and you no longer blame mommy or daddy. You no longer blame the great-grandparents or the great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents or 7 generations before. Who are you then? What are you then? Uh-oh, I'm no longer a victim. So why the heck am I in this spot in my life? Oh, because I choose. I choose to be. Okay, and I worked in the medical field. I worked in psychiatric health. So again, I know that there are medical conditions and neurological disorders and things of that nature. And then some people that just their life can only go to certain levels because due to their own personal experience with that. So I'm not saying that everyone can do whatever they want to do and go beyond their limitations. Sometimes it depends on the seasons of life that you're in and how strong you are. And that's why it's so important to have discipline, because that discipline will help keep you centered. I'll be 34 soon, this month, by the time you watch this video. And it's like when I was 24, I think back when I was 24, and I think back when I was 14, and then I think back to when I was 4 years old. And it's incredible. It's incredible. In a human life, we are babies, we're very young, very, very, we don't live for very long like we used to. That's another discussion. That's a whole nother discussion. But it's when it comes to trauma and understanding it, and yeah, what David Goggins said about understanding, you don't have to forgive so fast, but understanding where it comes from. He said something today. I listened to his interview again with this Australian interviewer guy, and it was just, he said, you must seek to understand the origin of the source of your trauma. What is the origin of the source of your trauma? What is the origin of the source of the demon that was created, that has imprinted into you? Because every time you blame someone for something that they've done to you, every time you blame, you're feeding into the invisible demon. You're feeding into it. My dad did this, my dad said that. It's like you're playing right into something you have no idea. And it feels good. It feels good to blame them. Like, I'm so stressed out today, I'm not going to do what I was going to set out to do because I'm so stressed out because this person put me through this. That's a cop-out. I feel like that truly is a cop-out. Now, I'm one to be in the space of grace, but given that I'm in the season of the red serpent energy is that fire energy. And so I'm in this space of no bullshit, no cop-outs, no excuses. You have to honor and give yourself spaces and places to work with certain frequencies. There's a frequency of grace. right? And that's usually in my deer season, where I give myself a lot of grace. I give myself space to just, you know, process difficult emotions, cry, be very emotional. The deer is very heart connected, but that fire energy is like, get out of my way, or get annihilated. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to my own personal demons, when it comes to my own setbacks, that serpent eye is like, get it together, sis. Get it together. So I'm asking you to get it together. You know, these are difficult, unpopular, you know, topics. And, you know, again, like, my direction with my this channel is to, yes, be authentic, and especially for the month of November and December, the last 2 months of 2022, I just truly want this to just be free flow conversation on topics that I find that I'm personally experiencing currently, and that I feel is something that is important to share, and it's hard to share. But, you know, I truly hope that someone out there can truly resonate with what I am saying. And be on the lookout for the 3rd video on family issues, family topics. And given that it's, you know, November, December is the holy days, holidays, and Christmas and Thanksgiving, why not talk about difficult stuff? You know, like, it's all like that red serpent energy is very transformative and ever changing, and, you know, just releasing the baggage, okay? That generational crap you don't need. And don't put your generational crap on anyone else's, on anyone else. Like, don't feel the need that you have to do that. You know, it's easier to do. It's easier to do and then say, oh, I said this to you because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Like, no. You have to be responsible for you and your stuff. No one else. Whether it's going to counseling, therapy, meditation, going to a guru, finding the guru within yourself, do whatever works, but just know it's just you, boo-boo. The mother wounds, father sins, let them go. You don't end the cycle now. Don't become what was done to you. Don't become what was done to you. And I'll leave you with that. Thank you so much for receiving this fire today, because I feel very fiery. So thank you so much. And remember to expand your consciousness, evolve your human being, and to embrace supreme loving guidance always. Thank you so much for stopping into Runes of Silvertree. Take care.